Just looking at this month's TBR makes me sad. Why do I even do this to myself? Why even read this many books? Maybe I should just play video games or something. It's Kyle. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing my June TBR. After taking kind of a month off from doing a TBR in May, I found that really liberating, but it also made me not really read a lot in May. So I am back to structuring my month somewhat into some reads. I actually do have some buddy reads planned for this month. So hopefully I can read more this month, because I feel like I read a lot in April, and then I also did a lot of schoolwork, and then like for May, I feel like I'm finishing nothing. I just feel like I'm starting a bunch of books, and it's taking me forever to finish books. There's 2 books that I've been reading literally all month, and I haven't finished them yet. I'm not even close to finishing them yet. So we'll see how it goes. So to start with, I'm going to be finishing the books that I started in May that I definitely will not finish by the end of the month. I'm currently reading The Heroes by Joe Abercrombie, and I will probably finish that today. After I finish it, I will be dedicating all of my remaining reading time for the month into Howling Dark by Christopher Rocchio. As you can see, I'm not that far. I think I'm 250 pages in, like chapter 25 or something. I'm really liking it. My slow pace is in no way a reflection of the book. I just got burnt out on big books, and then I had some books that I was like buddy reading, and I started a bunch of short books, and I just didn't return to this for a while, so I am reading it now. I tend to prefer the audiobook for Howling Dark. I just really like the audiobook narrator for this series, but I really like the prose, so I'm hoping to just bite out a chunk of this right at the end of May here, and then finish this in the very first day or 2 of June, and then I will be done Howling Dark, hopefully for a 5-star, because I did put this in my 5-star predictions list. After finishing Howling Dark, my reading time is going to go to the other bane of my existence in terms of book that I really like but am not getting much closer to finishing, and that is Tegana by Guy Gavriel Kay. Now, I'm only 200 pages into this. I have been going extremely slowly with Tegana. I think I've been reading 10 or 15 pages at a time for like the whole month, it seems like, and I'm really liking it. The prose is really good. I find Guy Gavriel Kay's writing is just like very immersive, and I can see myself really liking this book. Similar problems as with Howling Dark, where I just didn't want to read big books for a little bit. And my secondary problem is I thought I could get through a fair amount of this on the audio, and the narrator is Simon Vance, who is really good. But I'm still having a little bit of PTSD from Simon Vance's narration of The Emperor's Blades by Brian Stavley, which was just, whenever he does certain voices, I really think about that book, and I'm like, ugh. And it puts me in a bad mind state for reading Tegana. So I've been trying to mostly physical read it. I probably won't do much audio for it. But regardless, I hope to finish this first week of June. It would be really nice to be able to focus on it once I have the other 2 big books that I'm reading out of the way. After those 2, the next book that I have started but not gotten very far in is Kings of Ash by Richard Nell. I read Kings of Paradise about a year ago now, and I really liked it. This is a self-published grimdark fantasy series that's kind of inspired by Norse history and kind of by like Eastern Pacific Islands history. And it meshes those 2 atmospheres together really well, I thought. I really had a lot of positive things to say about the first book, and it just took me forever to get to the next books. Thankfully, Richard Nell sent me the entire trilogy signed in physical form, so thank you, Richard Nell. So I will be prioritizing these now. I'm only 30 pages or so into this book, but I'm happy to be back. Ruka is one of the best written anti-hero characters that I've ever read. And yeah, I'm definitely going to be finishing this in June. After Kings of Ash, I would like to just go ahead and finish the rest of the trilogy and go straight into Kings of Heaven. We will see how that goes. I have a lot on the docket this month, but I would really like to just be able to knock the trilogy out, especially when it's fresh in my mind. And the 3rd book, thankfully, is shorter. This one's not even 350 pages, and so I think after the first 2, I might just be in the mood to just knock out the trilogy, and I've heard nothing but great things about this finale, so I'm really excited to see how I feel about it. After that, I have the first of my buddy reads for the month. I'm going to be finally dipping into The Faithful and the Fallen with Malice by John Gwynne. I'm going to be reading this with some people over on Sarah Reads' Discord. I've been meaning to get into this series for a long time. I'm really loving the Bloodsworn trilogy. People say so many good things about this quartet, and I'm really excited to get into it. I'm expecting Malice to be kind of like a midding book. I don't expect a 5-star read on this book. If it is, that's fantastic. You always want to like what you read. But I'm really expecting this book to be a lot of setup for the rest of the series, which I heard starting with Valor, it just gets absolutely crazy. So I'm hoping to really enjoy this one. I'll probably be dual reading this on audio and physical, and that way I can get through it a little bit faster. But yeah, very, very excited to finally start this series. A couple of ebooks that I started this month that I will finish probably early in the month of June. The first one is Memories of Blood and Shadow by Aaron Jones. I've been hearing really good things about this. It doesn't have very many reviews on Goodreads at all. It's like 25 reviews when I last checked. But everybody that I've heard that's read it has really liked it. It's basically a Middle Eastern inspired story that is greatly influenced by The Name of the Wind. And I can see that immediately. The setup is that this old man is in a cabin and two guys come to try and kill him because of who he used to be. And so the old man ends up, like, killing one of them and disarming the other, and then he's like telling him, well, this is what you heard of me is not what actually happened. And so he's telling his story to this man that came to kill him in his cabin, which I think is ridiculous. I don't like that story setup at all, because why would you stop to tell your life story to a man that is trying to kill you? But that said, I am really enjoying the book. I think the prose is really good. The writing is just very flowy, like I can get right into it. I can read like 50 pages of it pretty quickly. It's a bit of a bigger book. I think it's like 650 pages, but I am really enjoying it, so I expect to finish that one relatively soon. The next book I've already started an ebook that I expect to finish pretty soon. That is an e-arc sent to me by NetGalley, and that is Scenes from My Life by Michael K. Williams and a co-author whose name I don't know. Now, Michael K. Williams is one of my favorite actors of all time. I think he has a very awesome outlook on life. I really like him in everything he was ever in. He's an actor's actor, and he just brings so much heart and emotion to everything. Obviously, Omar Little from The Wire The Wire is one of my favorite shows of all time, probably my favorite show of all time. And he's just phenomenal in that. He's phenomenal in everything he's been in. The last thing I saw him in was Lovecraft Country, which he has an episode in that show that is just absolutely outstanding. I've always really liked him, and I was absolutely gutted by his death. I know that he had fought with addiction, and he had gotten over it, and he was helping, other people from the inner city get clean, and he was helping with, getting people on early release from out of prison when they committed crimes in their youth. And I just thought he was a really great person, and it was just such a bummer that he died. And so when I found out he was almost done a memoir when he was done, it shot up and became one of my most anticipated books of the year, and thankfully NetGalley sent it to me early, so I've just been dipping into it. He writes with such heart and emotion that I can already tell I'm going to really love this memoir, and I'm really excited to be able to read it early and just miss this man and all that he brought to the arts and to the world. The next buddy read I have is Hyperion by Dan Simmons. I'm going to be reading this with Ian the Reader, and I think a couple others are joining us. I'm not clear on that. But I've been meaning to read Hyperion for years, and I just keep putting it down the road, kicking the can. And I'm so positive I'm going to at least really enjoy it. It might not become an all-time favorite, because older sci-fi has been kind of a hit or miss for me, but I expect to enjoy it. And when Ian wanted to read it, I thought this was the perfect opportunity to read it. So yeah, I can't wait to dip into Hyperion and see what I think about this. I hear nothing but really good things about it. Next buddy read I have is The Maleficent 7 by Cameron Johnston. This is another book that I'm going to be reading with some people over on Sarah's Discord. This is where all the nice buddy reads are happening, guys, on Sarah Reads' Discord. You should get on there. But I just think this sounds like a really fun book. It's like the Magnificent Seven, but with villains, and it's not that long. I just feel like it's going to be a short, fast-paced read to maybe after I finish one of these big books, I'll just binge this one really quickly. And yeah, I've heard pretty good things about this. I don't expect it to blow my socks off, but I expect to have fun while reading it. I'll also be starting the Dritz series. I believe Dark Elf is the first trilogy with Homeland. I'm going to be reading this as part of the channel read-along with Wicked Good Books over with Nick, and I don't know what to expect from this book. A lot of people really like it. It is one of those like classic fantasy things that I feel weird that I don't know anything about. Like, I've never had any experience to Dritz, the character, or to this world that Salvatore has made at all. And so at the very least, even if I don't enjoy it, which I do expect to enjoy it, I'm glad that I'll be getting that knowledge of that base understanding of the classic literature and fantasy that I have never been exposed to. But these books are really short. I hear lots of good things about them. I will probably continue on with the trilogy unless I just absolutely hate it for whatever reason, but I don't expect to. And a book I just bought that I will definitely be reading this month is The Jade Settler of Jan Loon, which is the prequel novella in the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. I'm pretty hyped for this. It's not very long. I might even finish it before I finish some of these other ones. Honestly, I might just like start it because I'm excited, and I might just read it really quickly. I don't have much to say about it. I'm excited to experience this world again in any way that I can. Fonda Lee is absolutely one of my favorite authors now, and I have faith that this novella will be really good. And the big ebook that I'm going to be reading this month that I cannot wait to get to, that I really hope that I'm able to just really dig into this month, is Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. I'm so excited to start the live ship trade. I hear nothing but good things. I hear constant hatred for Kyle. That's all the memes. Everybody's like, fuck Kyle. He's the worst. I don't like him at all. And I'm excited to know why I need to change my name after reading this series. But Robin Hobb has proven to me in the Farseer trilogy she is an absolute expert at character writing, and I cannot wait to experience what a lot of people say is their favorite trilogy. It's like something that I'm going to really like. My interest in Farseer was high, but it's really tied to Fitz because it's first-person narration, and I just prefer third-person, especially multi-POV third-person. So for the live ships, I just think it's just going to hit all the right notes for me. I have tons of faith that I'm going to absolutely love these books. And I'm glad it's finally here. I'm glad I'm finally reading it. It just feels like it's time. Now, the next book I'm reading this month is a little bit of an experiment. I might actually start this experiment in July because I have a lot going on in June. But essentially, I have a ton of unread ebooks. I'm not going to tell you how many it is because it's embarrassing. It's several hundred unread ebooks. And, you know, I wouldn't buy them if I didn't want to read them, but the problem is there's so many that I want to read you just can't get to, and then, you know, buddy reads come up, and new releases, and you want to continue series, and all this kind of stuff, and all these other books that you want to read don't get read, especially because right now I've been feeling a lot of fantasy, but there's plenty of other books that I'm really interested in. I mean, I have lots of horror books, I have lots of nonfiction. I have a ton of nonfiction on my Kindle. I have some contemporary books, I have a lot of classics. I have tons of books that theoretically I want to read, but right now has not really been what I've been gravitating to. So I decided to start a new experiment, which is that once a month I'm going to just do a random number generator for all of the books on my Kindle, and whatever number comes up, I'm going to go to that one starting at the top, and then I'm going to read that book. The exception being if it's more than 800 pages, I can, you know, take a rank check, because that can throw off my whole TBR, and I'll just do it again. Or if it's a book in a series I haven't started yet, then I can do it again. But otherwise, I'm just going to do that. It's not going to make a huge dent in my ebooks, but I do think it's going to spice up my reading a little bit and just read some books that are more on my back catalog that I probably wouldn't get to for a few years otherwise. And so I did that for this month, and the book that was chosen was The Bone Shard Emperor by Andrea Stewart, which is actually kind of nice because I got an ARC for that book, and it came out in like November, so I got the ARC in like September, and I just never wanted to pick it up. I didn't love The Bone Shard Daughter. People told me the sequel was better, and I'm glad, and I'm still intending on reading it, but I just kept not doing it. And so it's really nice that I'm going to be hopefully reading it this month. If I don't get to it in June, I will probably just do this as my July pick, and then continue on with the random number generator like in August. But okay, so that is pretty ambitious. Some of those books can be supplemented by audio. Some I've already made some progress on, so I'm not too worried about it. I also have less things going on in June, so I should be able to read more. But I do have 3 other books that are continuations in series that I would like to get to, but we'll see how it goes. So the first book I would like to get to, if I finish all of those books, is The Fires of Heaven by Robert Jordan, the 5th book in the Wheel of Time. Now, when I first started the Wheel of Time, I heard a lot of mixed things, and people told me, you know, they get better as you go along. Book 4 is a really big make or break book, and I decided to myself that I was not going to commit to a whole 15-book series, especially one with an infamous slog, if I wasn't enjoying it. So I told myself I would read the first 5, and I would then decide after the 5th book if I would continue reading. And I've had some mixed thoughts on the Wheel of Time so far. I would say all in right now, if I was to decide at the end of the 4th book if I was willing to read 15 books, I would probably say yes, but very hesitantly. I am not super sold on the series. I get why some people really like it, but essentially the plot is the only reason that I'm really interested in it, and the world building. The characters just don't do it for me. And I'm really hoping that turns around. People say there are incredible character arcs in this series, but the 5th book might be make or break for me, guys. I might continue on with the Wheel of Time after this one, or this might be my last one, at least for a while. We will see how it goes. It is a really big book. I might listen to it on audio, because I do have the audiobook. But either way, if I don't read it in June, I will read it in July, and then we'll see where it goes from there. The next book I would like to get to, if I have time, is Small Favor by Jim Butcher. This is the 10th book in the Dresden files. Dresden's really heating up for me. I can see myself binging it over the next few months to catch up. The 9th book, White Knight, was kind of just okay, but it set up a lot of stuff that I'm really excited to get to. People say Small Favor is really good. The only problem with this is that my library has been where I've been getting all the Dresden books. Apart from book 5, they just weirdly didn't have, so I read that one physical. But otherwise, I've been listening to them all in audio. They don't have book 10 either. So I have gotten the ebook for book 10 instead, and I would like to just read it physically, but because I have a really big month in terms of other things I'm physically reading, it might get pushed to July. I don't know. I do want to kind of get into Dresden while I'm into it and continue reading it. But I think after I'm done Small Favor, I will just go straight through the series after that, or at least read them really close together, because I hear they just keep amping up. And I really feel that. I do feel like they are getting crazier as they go along. So that would be what I'd like to get to. The final book that I would like to get to if I have time is A Practical Guide to Conquering the World by K.J. Parker. I read the first 2 books this month, and I have to say, I did not like them that much. The first book, 16 Ways to Defend a Walled City, I've been reading since February. I just could not for the life of me pick it up. And I ended up really liking the ending. There are some lines in it that I thought were fantastic, but it just never really clicked for me. And then the second book was more of the same, but it bothered me that it was so similar, even though you're following a different character, that I didn't really like the second one. But I got an arc for the third book before it came out in, January, and I was going to read the series leading up to it, and I just never did. So I have the arc, and I would like to provide feedback because they were nice enough to give me the book. I don't want to just abandon the series. And because it's following different characters, I feel like it's not necessarily like I'm going to dislike it like the second one. I feel like, if it does something to differentiate itself, I could really like this third one. So I'm going to read it. It's a short book. They're easy, quick reads. But it might be in July, especially because I wasn't very hyped on the first 2. So other than that, I have a few audiobooks that I am planning to get to. My audiobooks I tend to not put on my TBR just because they fluctuate based on library loans and what I'm feeling. I kind of stick my mood reading into my audiobooks. But some of the ones that I'm pretty sure I'm going to get to are The Grief of Stones by Catherine Addison, In the Shadow of Lightning by Brian McClellan, Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut I'm also listening to, and I'm sure there's a couple other ones that I will get to. Anyway, that is my TBR for June. I'm sure that I'm looking forward to not completing all of these and having half of these in July, but I want to do my best. I'm really excited about this month's reading. I feel like in May, I just was trudging through average stuff, and I'm really excited to get back to reads that I'm actually really excited about. And I want to know what you guys are reading in June. I want to know what you think about the books that I'm reading. Are any of them on your TBR? Have you read any of them? Are there some that you don't like? Are there some that you love? Please let me know your thoughts on any of the books that I mentioned here. I would love to hear it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like the videos. It really helps the channel a lot, and I really appreciate it. Thank you all so much for, for all the kind words of support and stuff that you've given me so far. It really means a lot. It keeps me going. I've been really enjoying all of the interaction that I've had because of this channel, and that's the reason that I do it. So please keep it going, guys. I appreciate it so much. Everybody, we'll see you next time.